guys, welcome to yet another episode of Microsoft ERP Beginners Tutorial Series. Today we are going to discuss about the delivery date control in Microsoft Dynamics 365. Delivery date control is a very interesting and very important topic in Microsoft Dynamics 365. So using this delivery date control, the system will automatically suggest the best possible delivery date for a specific sales order. So when you are creating a sales order and you choose the right delivery date control method depending on the business requirement, the system will automatically suggest you with the best possible delivery date for a specific item, right? So there are multiple strategies and multiple ways that you can set up the system for populating the delivery date in a sales order. So far we just used we just turned off the parameter. It was set up in the status none, so which means that delivery dates were always manual. So in all our sales order we actually manually manipulated the shipment date, or system automatically populates today's date as a shipment date, assuming that we always ship or make sure it gets delivered on the same day as and when of the order date, that is when we create a sales order, because it's just was set up as none. So let me show you the status first, or let me show you where the parameter is. So in the accounts receivable parameter, there is area called as accounts receivable parameter. Under the shipment tab, there is something called as a delivery date control. So far we set this up as none, so which means that in all the sales order we manually choose the requested receipt date and requested shipment date, meaning a date when we are ready to ship and date when the customer would expect to receive the product. Both the fields are very important in a sales order. We used to choose them manually, or if not, it just by default populates today's date or the date when we create a sales order automatically, because we haven't keyed in any value or any parameter here, right? So likewise, there are multiple parameters that you can choose. One is a sales lead time. The sales lead time is pretty straightforward. So if you have a lead time here as any number, like for example in this case we have a lead time as 3. So if you have a sales lead time, the system always follows a lead time. So let's say that you are creating a sales order today, and the sales order will be shipped from my facility 3 days from today, and it will be reaching the customer on the same day if there is no transportation time. That is, I need at least 3 days for me to be able to prepare, pack and make the product ready and then send it or ship it from my facility. So the system will follow a straightforward fixed lead time of 3 days for all of your sales order. Of course, this is a default value that is available here at the parameter level. You can always change the sales lead time for every single item, because we also have a default order setup within every single item where you can override the sales lead time specific to every single item. We'll see that later. But here it's a default area where if it doesn't have any value within an item in the default order setup, then the system will follow this particular lead time by default. Okay, the first area the system will check is within the item. If not, then system will come here and check for it. So if you have 3, then the system will just follow 3 as a lead time for every single item. Okay, but the drawback of this particular method is, let's say the item is already in stock and it necessarily need not take 3 days for us to pack the item and then ship it from here. We may even ship it from here immediately today because the item is still in stock, but irrespective of whether the item is in stock or item is not in stock, the system will follow a straightforward fixed lead time of 3 days in this particular scenario. So it might be useful for certain business processes, but may not be a logical solution for most of the business processes, because you don't want to hard code a value of a fixed lead time within an item or in a generic global level, right? So, but in some businesses, they might need such a feature. In such cases, you can use sales lead time. This is a straightforward way, so I will come back to this later and I will do a demonstration of this. But to start with, let's focus on ATP, it's also otherwise known as available to promise. So if you choose the method which is a delivery date control as ATP, then this field will no more be useful. There is no need of this field, because this field is useful only if you are using the sales order lead time as a parameter. So if you are using an ATP as a parameter, which is the most commonly used delivery date control method, which is called as available to promise, because unlike the previous method, it doesn't follow a fixed lead time. Even though you mention a lead time for this method, but the system will still keep into consideration of various other aspects like your inventory. If there is an inventory available for the product, then the system may not necessarily follow the lead time. It will immediately ship the product. So apart from the inventory, which is uncommitted inventory, the system will also take consideration of any demand or any supply that are available within a time frame. For example, if you have a specific purchase order coming in, and if there is no stock of the product, but there is a purchase order coming in that particular day, then in such cases you will still be able to ship today, right? And if you have a planned purchase order, let's say from the master planning, the system will also keep into account of all that. So system will now consider various parameters like inventory, like the sales order that are open, the purchase order that are open, the transfer order which is coming up, a planned purchase order which is coming up. System will consider all of that into consideration and gives you a specific delivery date or ship date and receipt date. So that way it is a lot more accurate, right? So that is something which is called as available to promise. So likewise, we also have another method called as an available to promise plus issue margin, meaning to be very 100% sure about our ship and date, the system will actually follow the available to promise method, which is this delivery date control method is same as ATP, but the only difference is apart from the ATP, it will also apply a buffer on top of it. Meaning inside the item coverage, there is an area where you can mention a specific lead time. The system will also add that lead time on top of the standard ATP lead time. So which means it will give you a buffer to be very sure that the item is available on a specific date which we are committing to the customer. So that is the only difference. So the only difference between the ATP and ATP plus issue margin is just the issue margin that gets added on top of the ATP method. So if we master the ATP, we automatically know what is ATP plus issue margin. So for today, we will focus on ATP and sales lead time. Okay, let's try to master this too and get comfortable with that, and then later on in the next video maybe we will cover the other areas here. So to start with, it's going to be ATP, right? So when you say ATP, then the lead time is not sales lead time. In such cases, the lead time will be taken from this particular field, which is called as ATP time fence. Okay, so I'm going to put the ATP lead time as 3, okay, and save it. So once you have the ATP lead time and once you set up the delivery date control to ATP, now you will be able to go and create a sales order. So when you create a sales order, moving forward, your sales order will have default delivery date control as ATP. So let me go and select my customer. You see here the delivery date control now is ATP because it's getting defaulted from this parameter. So since that now our delivery date control is ATP, let's see how it works. So you see this is the shipment date that I was referring to. This is the date when we will be shipping our product. This is a date when the customer will be receiving our product. Okay, so this will be more accurate once we add the item into a sales order line. So let's something is wrong. Let me try to, yeah, I think a sales order is created. Okay, so now let's add our item, which is this one. If you check the on-hand inventory for this particular item, there is nothing in the on-hand inventory for this item, as you can see. So which means the item is having 0 inventory at the moment, and I am trying to sell one quantity of this particular item to this particular customer. So now that the delivery date control is ATP, the system will automatically recommend the best possible lead time for this particular item. So if I go to the delivery tab in the line details, the system will provide me with a lead time of 23. Okay, my today's date is 19th August. So which means if I click on this simulate delivery date button, the system will say that on 19 with a lead time of 4, meaning I put the lead time of 3, system always considers 3 plus 1, which is totally 4 days of lead time. So 19, 20, 21 and 22 is the lead time, and 23 is going to be the date when I will be shipping the product, and on the same date the customer will be receiving it, because I haven't defined any lead time for transportation purpose. That we will do it later, but for now let's assume that the customer is very close to our facility. So as soon as I ship, the customer is going to receive it on the very same day. So it's on 23. So the system automatically considers our ATP calculation, and it puts this is the order date, the sales order date, which is 19th of August, and from there it considers 4 days of lead time and say that 23 is the best date that we can promise to the customer. Okay, so I can say that, okay, update it in the sales order, so it gets updated here. So that is the way that the ATP works, meaning it follows the lead time that is available here. So let me change it to 10. Okay, save it. Let's remove this line and add it again. So this time it will be giving me lead time of 10. So the quantity is 1. So let me save it and let's go and see. So here it is from 19 to, it's taking 11 days, 10 plus 1. So the 30th will be the optimal date when we will be delivering this particular product to the customer. Okay, because at the moment I do not have any inventory for this particular item. Okay, so let us now try to create another sales order. That one. Okay, so now let me choose another item, which is this one. And for this particular item, if I see my on-hand inventory, there is 20 in the inventory. Okay, so anyway, I need only 1. So obviously this is available in the inventory. So unlike the sales order lead time method that I have mentioned earlier, ATP is more intelligent way, right? Since the item is already in the on-hand inventory, if I see that the item can be delivered on the same day, meaning it can be shipped on the same day and it will be delivered to the customer on the same day, which is 19th of August. Because in this particular ATP method, the system will also takes into account of the on-hand inventory, and this product is luckily still in the inventory, so it delivers on the same day. Okay, so that's why the system is suggesting 19 August as a date for this particular product. So this is how the ATP method works. So let's further dig deeper into the ATP method, because we have only covered the ATP time fence. Let's explore what is the functionality behind the ATP backward demand time fence and ATP backward supply time fence. So the demand time fence, as the name suggests, is for the sales order. The supply time fence, as the name suggests, is for the purchase order. Okay, purchase order is a supply to our organization. The sales order is a demand, which is an issue from our company, whereas a purchase order is a receipt to our company, right? It's a supply and it is a demand, meaning the sales order, right? So what do I mean by it takes into consideration of sales order? What do I mean by it takes into consideration of a purchase order? So let's try to review this in detail. So let's say that so this was my previous way, right? Meaning if the inventory is 0, then the system will keep consideration of this time frame, which is in our case 10 days plus 1 11 days. So the system will ship it on 30th of August, whereas if I have the inventory, then the time frames will not come into picture. I can be able to deliver it on the very same day. This is what we reviewed in the current scenario, right? Let's review the scenario number 2 now. So in the scenario number 2, let's assume that I am going to create a sales order. Actually, I've already created a sales order system which ends with the number 188, which is I'm going to create it today. Okay, 19th of August is today according to my system. So this is today's date. Okay, but yesterday in my system there is already a sales order sitting. Okay, and the both of the sales order is going to have the same item number in it, and the inventory stock of that item is only 10. Okay, this sales order is having a demand for that same item for 10 quantity, and this sales order that I am going to create today is also having a demand of 10 for the same item. Okay, so this sales order is already existing that I have created yesterday. So this sales order is something that I'm going to key in today. Okay, so let's see what happens if I create a sales order today. So to save some time, I only need to add the line. I have already created the sales order today just before our session, which is this, and this is a sales order that I have created yesterday for the same item. Let's check the yesterday sales order first. So this sales order is for the same customer for this particular item, and they need 10 of that particular item, which is a demand from yesterday from the same customer. Today the customer ringed me up and asked me to create another sales order for the same item. Okay, so today, which is 19th of August, I am going to now create another sales order for the same item, which is that one. Okay, so now I have created another sales order for the same item for the same quantity of 10. Okay, for the same quantity of 10. So now I have created a second sales order for the same item for quantity of 10. So but still the system is saying that it can be delivered on the same day. That's because now the problem is, according to the system, there is an inventory stock for this particular item, because my previous sales order that I have created yesterday, which is this one that I have just showed you, still haven't reserved the item or packed the item, or maybe even did not even pick the packing slip, right? So on 19th, according to the system, there is an on-hand inventory for that particular item. So you know that the ATP method will keep into considers the on-hand inventory, and if there is an on-hand inventory, it says that it can be delivered on the same day, right? But this is not the right approach, right? Maybe in yesterday's sales order, I have already promised the customer that I will be delivering it today, right? Which means that maybe it is not yet processed, it's been delayed by somebody in that particular sales order yesterday. And now today I'm creating another sales order, and the system is still considering the same stock, and it is giving me the same delivery date, which is of today, right? So there is clearly a clash, right? So it depends on the business requirement, it depends on the business process. You can configure the system accordingly. But if you do not want to run into this kind of problem, where if there is an already existing sales order for the same item available yesterday, and the system, you want the system to keep an account of those sales order, then you might need to try to put a backward demand fence. Meaning, let's say that if I put 3 here, then the system from today will start looking for any of the open sales order for the same item which is not been fulfilled, right? It will check for all such sales order 3 days backward from today. So if I put this and save it, then the scenario changes, which means that the backward time fence will come into picture, which will look for 3 days from today, meaning that's a typo. So it will check for any sales order, open sales order on 16, 17 and 18. If so, then on 19th it is not available because it's already committed to a previous earlier sales order. Okay, so let's say now that I have put 3 here and saved it, let's remove this and add it again. Okay, and put the quantity as, sorry, that's a unit price. Let's put the quantity as 10 and save it, and then now you will see that it's no more available on today. It's now taking our original time fence, which is of 11 days here, and it says that it is available only on 30th, which is right, because the 10 quantity of this particular product is probably reserved for the sales order which is available yesterday, and we shouldn't be using the same stock as a point to consider even today, right? So based on the business process, you will be able to play around with this particular parameter, which is a backward demand time frame. Hope you understand about this parameter very well and clear now. So similarly, this is also almost same, which is the backward supply time frame. Okay, so so the third scenario is almost similar to our previous scenario, but now the small change in the logic is, previously we had stock of 10, but now we do not have a stock of 10, which is we have 0 inventory stock for a specific item, and I'm trying to put a sales order for that item today. Since 0 inventory is available, realistically the system will automatically, if I put a sales order today, the system will automatically uses this ATP time frame, right? Sorry, ATP time fence, and the system will give me this date, right? System will say that okay, based on my ATP time frame, which is 11 day, the stock will be only available and that can be delivered only on August 30, right? So this is how it normally works, right? But if I have a value available in the backward time frame, the system will look for the past 3 days or 4 days depending on my time frame to see if there are any supply which is coming in, meaning any purchase order which is coming into my system. So in this case, there is a purchase order that I've already created on 18th, so that is not yet been received, or it is actually expected to be received on 18, but still not yet received for some reason, and most likelier that purchase order will be received on 19 and I will be able to deliver it on the same day, right? So the system will also consider any open PO for the past 2 day or past 1 day or 3 day, depending on your business process. If you need such a process to take over, then you might need to put a value for the ATP backward supply time fence. So for now, I'm not going to put a value. Let's see how it works. So if you check, let me first show you the purchase order. So procurement and sourcing, all purchase orders. I believe it should be the last one. So this particular purchase order is scheduled to be received on 18th, which is yesterday according to my calendar. So 18, but I haven't received it yet. However, in my case now, I'm not putting any time frame. I'm going to create a new sales order to save some time. I think I already have a sales order of number 189 maybe. Let me check. Yeah, 189, and this particular sales order is created on 19th. So let me remove the line and add the item, which is S2005, and this particular item is not in stock as discussed, 0. So based on our current scenario, the system will actually tell me that it's not in stock, so we are not going to deliver it for the next 11 days because of my lead time. I will be only delivering it on 30th of August. Okay, so it is working as expected because we already seen this before. But if you also want to consider your existing purchase order that you've just seen in the system, then you put the 3 here, save it, remove the line, and now let's add the line again. That one quantity, save it, and now you see that it's most likely it is available today. So you might be in some cases confused, right? Why is system saying in some cases it can deliver today, but in the other case it did mention that it will only be delivering after 10 days? What is the logic behind each of them? Just in some cases you might get confused. So if you have such a confusion, then you will still be able to come here, I think here, and check for the ATP information. And here you see that available to promise is 1 and the receipt is 1, which is your purchase order. So that's why it's getting fulfilled on the same day. So it will give you a good information about the receipts and issues and the on-hand inventory and everything. So you will be able to come here and check for the reason or more information related with your ATP calculation. So that is about the ATP way method. Of course, we will look into the ATP plus issue margin, which is very simple, guys. If you understand ATP, this is very, very simple and easy. And of course, the sales lead time is again a very straightforward and easy way. But unfortunately, I'm already 30 minutes into this session today. So we are running out of time, and we will not be able to cover this two in today's video. But we will cover the sales lead time and the ATP plus issue margin in the next video in detail. I hope you are clear about the available to promise calculation for now. Thanks for watching this video. See you again in another video next week.